Are you all right?
Thank you for asking. I've been better. But I would say all right works. But it would be like one L, not two separate words.
Yeah, because that's how you spell the word all right.
It depends on how I'm feeling.
Sometimes you're feeling entirely right.
And sometimes I'm feeling entirely
Left. And right now you're just feeling all right.
Yeah.
In the way that means good.
Yeah. Yeah. Not in the way that means you're all right.
You're all on your right.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
You know, you can talk shit about my hair all you want. First of all, I know it looks crazy. This is not styled. This is my bed head. And then I wore a hat for the last episode.
Yeah.
And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you know what? This gives early 2000s in a funny, stupid, ugly way.
I also think that like it's powerful in a way that it doesn't look bad, and I'm not being shady. Like
Andrew, here's the thing. And when I give you my hand-me-down clothes in 5 years, and when you do this hair in 5 years, and this has been going on since we were children.
This is
since
him.
We were children. I have been putting myself out on a limb, stylistically, and then letting myself get mercilessly bullied by my closest friends and loved ones for it, and by my schoolmates. And then 5 years later, everyone's doing it. So I'm kind of sick of it. I'm kind of just gonna lean into who I am and not really think twice.
I guess that's the way to look at it.
It is, and that's who I am now.
That's who you've been,
and that's me without the internet.
Well, us without the internet, what would we be?
I'm there. I'm there, Mama. Mama, I'm there, Mary. Sister, I'm there, Queen.
Mary.
Diva, I'm right there. I'm there, girl.
Off the internet, unplugged, and honestly happy. Good children.
I'm Joe Hegyes.
And I'm Andrew Muscarella.
And this is
Good Children. We've spent the past 24 years growing together.
Now it's time for us to finally grow up.
Oh, this is going to be a fun episode, huh?
Well, you love the internet.
I've always loved the internet.
You always use the internet.
Yeah. I've definitely used the net.
For what?
Well, you know what I use the internet for.
Porn.
Really? You have to start that
what strong? Else do you... I would love to see what the top websites you use your laptop and your phone's internet for.
Recipes.
Would you just read the recipes? Because I don't see you make many.
I make some.
Yeah, no, you definitely make some recipes, but I can't imagine that's like the number one thing that you're using your internet access for.
Online shopping.
Okay.
I don't buy it. I look at it.
Okay.
I have about a lot of tabs open, and then the other sites. But since this is the family podcast, I don't have to tell you every single site that I go on, because that would just be like wrong.
And like an exhaustive list, probably. It probably would be really extensive.
You think so?
Probably. Wouldn't you say?
I wouldn't say it's exhaustive. I would say that there are 3 that I interchange between. Now we're going to go this way. This is how it's going to start. I'm going to give away all of my tea. Okay. No. I support small businesses.
OnlyFans.
Yeah. I support small businesses. I support the arts and people trying to get into curating experiences.
Okay. And you support live theater, would you say?
Yes, live. Yeah. I definitely support live theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I support live theater. That's a really good way to look at that.
Yeah, it is that. It is that.
What are you using your internet for?
Honestly, as of late, mainly Reddit. Mm-hmm. Mainly YouTube and Reddit, I would say, are my main 2 vices. It's been tough. I really have set so many limits physically and digitally on my phone and my laptop that I almost can't use it. Like, I actually cannot use the internet for more than 45 minutes or I get locked out for the day.
It's like you're using the calculator at this point.
Yeah, like I'm playing apps and playing games on my phone because I literally, like, I was just upstairs playing a little numbers game because I can't text. I can't do anything. I can text, but I can't scroll.
I was like, if you can't text, that would be crazy. But it is nice that you have like the blockers on, because why would you really need to use the internet?
Well, that's what really makes you think, is how much you go to the internet. Like how much because I mean, like definitely contextually, you versus me, I was raised on the internet in a scary, scary, scary way. I grew up on the internet.
Yeah.
And so for most of my life, my main association with the world was seen through the internet, through social media. Like that's how I saw everything. And now for the first time, I've really cut myself off from it.
Yeah.
And now my world is becoming the things I actually see on a day-to-day basis. And it's weird. It's weird.
Freeing?
It's incredibly freeing. And I know I was saying it kind of in a jokey manner about how crazy my hair looks, but it's very self-assuring. I feel like I have been someone, especially in my early 20s, but even up until recently, like my opinions were so frequently shaped by what the internet thought was cool and what the internet thought was bad. Like, look at La La Land. Look at the long-standing beef you and I had with La La Land between each other.
It really, I'm actually, now that you mentioned that, it's nice that we could come to a place where you can formulate your own opinions.
I know.
On things. Because, listen, I'm definitely influenced as well, but when you aren't looking to others' opinions when it comes to art, and you can make your own, you might have walked out of La La Land and said that, you know what, I enjoyed that.
I think I did walk out of La La Land and say I enjoyed it. And then I let the internet sway me into saying, actually, fuck this movie.
And it was a great divide between us.
It was a great divide. That and Greatest Showman. And I watched that one and I hated it. And I hated that movie. It started with kids singing. Shut up. Go to school.
A lot of people don't like The Greatest Showman, and you know what? Like, to me, that's fine. I'm not everybody. I can't be everybody.
But you are every woman.
But I'm every woman, and
it's all in you.
Exactly. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. You know, a million dreams are keeping me awake. Like, the music was, to me, I liked it. I'm sorry, it did something for me in the moment.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But to your point, I am proud that you are formulating your own opinions that way.
But it's really interesting. I'm even seeing it like, what did I just experience? I don't know what it was. I'm starting to realize, like, I'll be doing things that I've done forever, and I'm kind of like maybe more grounded in reality, where I'm like, actually, I don't like this thing. Like, actually, this isn't really, like, I'm not like obsessed with this. And even like my pop culture opinions, I feel like are always so hard and fast. It's 0 or 100. I love something or I hate something. And I feel like I'm starting to walk this middle line where I'm like, I enjoyed that. I'm probably never going to revisit it, but I enjoyed it. And that doesn't mean I loved it. Doesn't mean I hated it. But I feel like the internet and the algorithm has always been training me to have such a loud opinion on everything.
Yeah. You were loud. L-O-U-D. You like that, how to spell it out. But I think that your opinions, especially as a kid, like, I mean, I can't imagine like seeing everything on the internet and then feeling, well, you were also online, but I was getting a lot of my opinions through you.
I know.
I would let you dominate because I was like, you know what, you at least had other references for what you were saying, so it felt more, there was more validity to it. There was more truth to it. And I was like, yeah, absolutely.
And you are right. It really was, I think, for me, because I was actually just deep in the archive and I was looking at videos of myself from 2012 and then the jump 12 months later to 2013 and the difference in who I was, like who I was like aesthetically and what I was caring about was so crazy. It was such a hard and fast pivot. And I was like, that was like the time in my life where I started understanding that I could like use the internet as a tool to like manifest a different version of myself. Yeah. And that was like obviously Royal and like the fake Grammys and the fake Oscars, which these bitches, I had to finally archive that Instagram reel.
Why?
Because I always posted about how I used to fake going to the Grammys and fake the VMAs, whatever. And the comments I would get from people were so fucking annoying. Like, I think that, like, you could speak to this from experience. It was never that serious. Like, it was always tongue-in-cheek joke. It was like satirical posting.
It was always a joke.
And people, like, failed. And it was
funny. Like,
it
people
was, like, stupid. Like, it was like, if you actually think about the Grammys, the joke is on you.
For sure.
The joke is on you. And yet, these comments were just, I mean, and I can't blame people. They're only getting one snippet of the story. Yeah. But I'm like, shut the fuck up.
It goes to show you, when it comes to the internet, people are willing to believe anything they see.
Yes.
And that's why we did that stupid bit about my lip filler when I was 7 years old. And there are still people on the internet that think that was the real.
Willem thought it was real.
Willem thought it was real. Willem, girl, like, I wasn't getting lip filler when I was 7, but I you know what? Like, to my parents, I'm sorry I had to put you through that from the internet.
Fake news.
Like, it was fake news, but you know what? Sometimes I gotta spread some fake news because it's being spread left and right. I sound like I sound like I'm on the wrong team.
Yeah, well, you always kind of do.
You're kidding. Talk about the internet.
And talking about the internet.
Talk about the internet when I was a kid. Talk about swaying opinions. Talk about like especially when you're like anything. You can look up. Well, now it's ChatGPT, which is crazy. But I mean, I was getting my news sources from like random websites that I was
talking about.
Like,
you were looking at the news.
Yeah, I was looking at the news
as a kid.
In high school. I probably knew more what was going on in the world when I was in high school than I do right now. And that's shocking.
I'm sure.
And then I was signed up for the Wall Street Journal. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know how I got to the Wall Street Journal.
News. I feel like for me, when it comes to like politics and shit in the internet, Tumblr was my introduction to like liberal media for the first time ever. Like, definitely prior to that, it was like my like conservative parents' boots down. And then it was really like Tumblr that kind of made me open my eyes to be like, whoa.
Other people like your age as well, I'm sure.
And like, I guess like as a burgeoning closeted gay kid, also like starting to actually like learn shit about the world. Like, and that's the beauty of the internet, of course, is the way it can serve as an educational tool. And I think especially 15 years ago, probably more so than it does now, since everything can be doctored in AI and fake. But yeah, I mean, I definitely got the woke mind virus from Tumblr. For sure.
I was indoctrinated. You were my wokest friend.
Yeah.
You've always been my wokest
And you were my least woke friend.
Joe, I was like...
You were the least woke person.
I didn't wake up.
No, you were fast asleep.
I was fast asleep. I was your sleepiest friend.
Yeah.
And you were my wokest.
Yeah.
And you know what? It took until college for me to really wake up. And I think that was also like... because I was not on the internet.
Yeah,
really,
that was your experience with the
my
world.
Environment is what shaped my opinions as opposed to the internet. But like, then I got to a new environment and I surrounded myself with like, obviously like-minded people or people who like opened my eyes to things. And then from there is when I started to really like dive more into the internet. But even with like social media, I wasn't really on socials. And I do like... But at the beginning, it was so nice because it was so...
It was fun. It was fun.
It was so fun. Like, you could post literally anything and not feel anything. It was like, okay, for my 50 followers, for my 100 followers.
You liking your post to get to 11 likes so you didn't see the names underneath on Instagram. Like, that was always the tea.
I'm like on vacation and I posted a little picture of the ocean. Like, that's nice.
Blurry as fuck. Filtered to the gods. Like, and it's, like, I was old. Like, it was such a pure time of the internet.
Yeah.
That was like how Tumblr was. Like, Tumblr felt like what are those things you like put you write your life and you put little things in it, like pictures and stuff, and it's like
an obituary?
No, it's like a book, a scrapbook. You can collage in a scrapbook. Like, it felt like a scrapbook of like the things that you found interesting and the things that you cared about. And that was also what Instagram felt like. It was like a pinboard of the pictures of what was actually happening in your life. And then I feel like so quickly, because that was like 2011 that we started using Instagram, and like by 2014, game over. game over. Like, it was a business, and we already felt that pressure and the anxiety that you used to have when you were posting. I'll never forget that.
Joe,
you would
like,
be sick,
and
thinking of a caption, and then thinking of when to post. Should I post? You can send to should I post right now? Is it like time for me to post?
The problem
should I delete?
Like, it's so it sucks because I know it's obviously a universal experience for a lot of people that like it was actively working through being perceived, but like I was being perceived by the people I went to school with. So like it really didn't matter. It's not like I had a public platform, but I always treated it.
Well, I wonder if also part of that is when you are hiding part of your identity, like you're kind of showing up as something different. So like to post,
you're right, you
felt a little bit closer to your real self, and that's a challenge. But no, I think we all felt like it. I mean, some people to this day don't give a fuck, which like, oh, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. But I think it always felt like performance.
Always.
Once I don't know though when it clicked for me that it could be performance. Like I think once celebrities like commodified those apps and started using them, and it became not about sharing your opinions and sharing your life. It was like, how can I emulate what Kylie Jenner is posting and emulate what all these people are posting? How can I be more like them? Let people think my life is like theirs.
Yeah.
And that's when things got tough.
When things got tough, when it went from me posting a picture of the ocean to having to feel like I need to only post myself, and like the best angle you've ever seen, or from like neck up selfie with just the face, correct?
This was me.
But I also think I was having fun in high school. Some of the shit I was posting.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll never forget the ice cream post. I think we've talked about it. Didn't I like post a picture of me saying like with ice cream saying "Take that, Michelle Obama"? Because it was like at the time where everyone was like so afraid that like the health in this country was going to turn on its head, and then ice cream, like all of the like the bad food was going to be taken away from us and like banned.
Take
but like
that, Michelle Obama.
Take that, Michelle Obama. It was like me eating an ice cream sundae at high school. Like, yeah, I shouldn't have been having ice cream sundae.
Like Michelle Obama should have gotten involved. Purse so heavy.
The purse so heavy. like her purse was heavy for a reason.
She should have been swinging that purse at you.
Like, put that sundae down at 10:30 a.m. in its fourth period, and you're having lunch. What do you mean?
It also though, like that reminds me of like Diner by the Sea.
Yeah,
like the era when like food started getting influenced by it's so crazy. Like the internet, like tech is the end. We're over. It's over, and I don't have to get dark, but it's over. And like that influenced culture in such a crazy way where out of nowhere the food we ate had to be aesthetically pleasing. Prior to that, I don't think anyone gave a fuck.
No.
Like the Monster Mash sundae from Friendly's, sure.
But that was pre-internet.
That was just to enjoy something.
Like the Friendly's, and I'll give it to Friendly's. They were always ahead of the curve. Like they had the cone head, they had the Monster Mash,
they had the blue raz,
they had the blue raz, they had the mini mozzarella sticks. They were putting their chicken
very
tenders
Instagrammable
on
always.
Fucking
the dipping
skewers.
Chicken. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like they had a vision, and they didn't really care that people weren't posting about it.
Friendly's was on the front lines of something that we don't actually discuss enough.
No, like it's kind of like we kind of all owe it to Friendly's a little bit more. And I mean, it might be a regional thing, which I think it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, and for those who haven't experienced a Friendly's, like I would go on the worldwide, I would go on the internet.
I would almost travel.
And there's not many left because we all
we
turned our back.
We took it for granted.
Because
there was someone someday that looked at a scoop of mint chocolate chip ice cream and said, what if I gave this Reese's peanut butter cup ears?
Yeah.
And a maraschino cherry nose.
And you know what it did? It brought it to life.
It changed our lives.
It brought it to life. It made it fun. It made you feel like a kid. And even if you weren't, like, if you were in high school, and like, I'd still be like, I kind of want the Monster Mash. I kind of want the cone head. And the hot fudge was good as hell there. And that blue raz drink that had more sugar than you probably could even fathom to put in your body. Color changing straws. Like, again, like that place was cutting edge. But to your point, it was like, once Instagram started picking up on the Instagrammable things,
everything got aesthetically pleasing.
And then suddenly you got the biggest hit to the internet.
Those fucking
black tap.
Those damn Milkshakes.
Those damn milkshakes. Okay, you
Piss
know
me
what?
off. You ever have one?
No.
Same. We both missed that. That's why we're mad. That's why we're mad.
It's because we're jealous. No, I feel like I actively missed it.
I didn't
on
want to
purpose.
do it. Yeah.
Because there was something like I don't stray away from gluttony. You look at me. I don't stray away from gluttony, and I do believe that is a sin. And I'm very gluttonous. But when I see one of those shakes, it makes me enraged.
It's because it's so American.
Yeah.
It is like, let's put a cheeseburger, fries, a chocolate slice of cake, and a cupcake, and mozzarella sticks on top of a milkshake for an Instagram.
A full thing of cotton candy for an Instagram.
Yeah.
And then we're going to charge, because we have everything there, we're going to charge about $30 for that milkshake, but people are going to be waiting outside the door.
The amount of food I waited in lines for, though, because of the internet is crazy. Like, crazy. I wish I could go back in time and stop this from happening.
But this is the thing, Joe. You know what? We want to talk shit about the internet when it comes to the food as well, but that is what got us into the city. And that's what got us walking 16 miles.
Well, yes. I would come to the city just to post. I would come to the city just to have someone take a picture of me doing something so I could emulate that I was like a city person. Yeah. Like, which again, I think that you can use these tools for manifesting. It is that it's like for me, it was almost a vision board, my Instagram account. It was like the things I wanted to be seen as. Poser, manipulator, liar, but also at the same time, like all of those things have slowly, like even when we went to the VMAs and the comments were like, did you Photoshop this? Like those things have slowly come true. But that was kind of a real canary in the gold mine moment when the food got pretty, when the food got Instagrammable, because that was like suddenly not even your cheeseburger could be ugly.
Normal.
Not even your cheeseburger could look like a normal cheeseburger. It had to be gorgeous.
A lot of pressure.
And what does that say about
people?
The people.
Oh, when I started to have to be gorgeous, when I had to be gorgeous.
You had no choice but to be gorgeous.
It was like that moment. Because to your point, it was like, 2011, but I think it was even before that, because I remember posting on Instagram when I was maybe in 7th or 8th grade, right?
No.
We
started Instagram in 10th or 11th grade.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Maybe I was just like, maybe I was a little bit behind the times mentally. I was thinking maybe it was 7th grade. But yeah, I was posting I don't want a skinny dip, I want a chunky dunk shit. And like, then once people started trying to be hot, that brought me to Facetune.
Yeah, of course. And from Facetune, which we've covered tremendously on this podcast over the years, that definitely, I wonder like what my life would be like if I never was able to take an image of myself and
be a plastic surgeon
and become a plastic surgeon. Like actually look at every single thing that I had an insecurity about and correct it. And then publish it. I wonder what my brain would have developed like if that didn't happen to me when I was a teenager.
It is like really wild to think that like we were all giving the youth the ability to be plastic surgeons. Like they saw that image and they said, I'm going to doctor up this image to show you what you could look like if you thought you were perfect.
Right. And look at what that's created now. Look at all of the filler and all of the surgeries, like because we were raised on being able to correct these things.
And I'll tell you one last thing about Facetune. I could give zero shits about the other people in the picture with me.
Oh my God.
If I made you look like you gained 35 pounds because my chest was flat as fuck, that's what I was willing to do.
It was always that. It'd be like, whoa, suddenly Marissa looks huge. What happened?
Whoa,
Andrew looks
hips
tiny as a flower.
Marissa's hips seem like they're jutting out a little bit.
Or like also it would always be like it was the telltale time with someone's arm. When like out of nowhere you had the biggest forearm of your life.
Because the forearm got big because you were taking in your love handles.
Yes, yeah. You're like, whoa.
Holy shit.
Andrew's jacked.
That was really crazy. And I would be really upset if there was a defined line in the back of the photo that I knew I was going to have to put it actually carpentry work.
Yes, actually hours of work.
I would have to be not only a plastic surgeon, but a restoration hardware of making the lines in the back perfectly angled.
Yeah.
really sick and twisted, and it was not good for the youth. And I, again, cannot imagine what it's like right now.
I know.
Because I don't think I suffer from the internet nearly as much as I did when I was a kid, but it was really hard to unlearn.
It also is just like, yeah, like I feel pretty solid in who I am, what I look like. I mean, maybe 2 weeks ago I said something otherwise, maybe 3 weeks ago, but I feel like pretty much otherwise, like, okay, like I'm almost 30 years old. I'm not like going through the same insecurities I was going through as a teenager or like an early 20s person. But if this was going on for me since I was 10, like what does that do to your little brain, your developing brain? Like I don't know. I understand that our careers are forged on social media, but I'm really terrified of it. Not like in terms of posting. I am terrified of the long-term ramifications of these platforms. Yeah. I really, really, really want to take it to Capitol Hill in such a scary way. Like, I do not think
wearing this,
and that's why I'm here today. Yes, Congress, I'm so excited. Let's start this discussion.
Literally.
I don't know, because we are already tracking this weird progression of this thing, because like now we're at like our college years. Yeah. And for me in college, of course, Facetune. I was taking it to Photoshop. I was going beyond that because I needed a professional's opinion. I was getting really in depth. Yeah. It was full reconstruction.
Yeah, you were reconstructing, and that is where like as an outsider, I envied you. Because
it was unclockable.
Because on your resumes, basically, it was like you had Photoshop experience.
Yeah, and I did.
And you did. Yeah. And there was only so much I was willing to commit. And if I couldn't get it through the resizing of Facetune or the smooth, I was good with that. I wasn't going to post it.
Yeah.
That didn't stop you.
No, I always got the job done. Yeah. I always got the job done, no matter how.
I was changing my head shape.
I know you were. And that was crazy because if anyone here should be changing their head shape, it's me, not you.
I have a small head.
And you were making it so small. I know exactly what you looked like. It was scary. It was scary. But that's body dysmorphia. You couldn't even tell. You were like, this looks better.
Better. The smallest had the biggest arms you've ever seen.
And tiniest little
chin. Little chin. I know you knew that pointy chin. Because I was like, no one's gonna know that my cheeks are big. And yeah, it's really really, really, really so crazy. But in college is where it got even worse. And we went through this before. But internet in general, like, can do a lot of good too. I do believe.
Well, it has done great things.
It has, and look, I mean, I talk shit about the internet all the time. I am very thankful to TikTok in a way because it helped us grow a platform, and like we have now become online because of that, and like we would not be doing what we're doing if it was not for the internet. I do also believe there are so many problems with it, and then when TikTok was going to be banned, unfortunately I was like, all right, and what? But I also recognize this is livelihoods on the line, and
information, which it's like a double-edged sword there for me, because again, I officially have given up on understanding what's real and what's fake. Yeah, like I actually can't differentiate, and I was always like, no matter what, like I'm sure my parents will fall for AI shit, but like I'll always be able to tell. Even with like Facetune, my mom would always be like, do you think that she did something to this? Is there a filter on this? And I'm like, Mom, look at the background. Yeah. Like it is like she's in a funhouse mirror. Like, yeah. And now I'm like, I'm seeing shit. Like the video of like Elon's son talking to Trump. And I'm like, did he really say this? Is this mouth AI? Is this really happening? And then I'm just like, well, guess I'll never know. Because it's like crazy.
That's so freaky that we're never going to know if it's real or not.
I mean, I'm sure I can go to like an actual source, but still, it's like, it just has become very hard to differentiate. And I do think that the internet has brought amazing things, obviously, but I do just think, how did everyone do it 20 years ago? We're so close to, but even MySpace compared to this shit, like we are so close timeline wise to a time before this, and we've only been in it for 20 years maximum, not internet but social media. And look at how bad it's gotten. Yeah. And like we remember a time before it. You know what I mean? And that's so quickly that it ramped up to an 11 so fast. No breaks in sight. Just constantly evolving and changing. It's a lot to keep up with.
It's a lot to keep up with. And I do think it's like, and again, we're doing it in a different way, but we're still actively trying to pursue it. But like, I do think it's hard because like having only a career on the internet is like genuinely wild. I can't imagine. It's dark. It like for your psyche in general, regardless of like the creators that you follow that feel unfazed by it, like it's a really, really dark industry to be a part of. It is.
No, I don't. I'm laughing because it really is.
It's like the constant posting. It's like, yes, you want to work with brands, you want to make money, you're doing all of these things, but it's like, and it gets to a point where you're like, this all feels really fake.
Well, because it is.
It is.
Also, it's like, and that's the complicated part about this is it's like, it's so easy. Like, we're choosing not to work. You know, it's so easy to be like, this is the easiest thing in the entire world. And in so many ways it is. Like, even the work part, it's like, oh, I get to do something fun and then post it. Like, okay, well, I had to edit something. Like, that's whatever. But there is this, like, and I was with Hunter this weekend and we like talked about this a lot, which is why I wanted to talk about it with you. Like, there is this like lottery of it that I think if you can feel it, whether you are, I don't know, Alex Earl, or like you are a regular person posting for fun, like you feel this, like I remember it's like you're in a slot machine and you're waiting to win the prize and it's addiction. Like I just remember the first time I ever saw views go up in my life was I Whipped My Hair. And the thing is, I won't forget that feeling as long as I live. I will not forget the feeling. I know I can put myself in that squeaky chair with the fabric ripped, with the foam exposed in the playroom, in front of that desktop computer with the white linoleum, whatever that is, on the mouse, and watching the numbers go from 100 to 10,000 to 20,000, and being like this feeling, like feeling something change in me. Like this, I was like, this is validation. Like this is a reward. This is the prize. Like I hit the prize. And was I 14? We were 14. And then I remember in 2020 when I was posting Abigail, and I will never forget you saying to me, like, I actually don't want to hang out with you when you post Abigail videos because you just sit there on your phone refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. And because I would, like, the moment something hit, it was just glued to my phone, refreshing notifications, and just watching the numbers go up and watching it go up. And if it didn't work, I was like, I'm a fucking piece of shit, worthless. This was embarrassing.
Oh yeah,
so humiliating and embarrassing.
Entire day,
because then it becomes reality, and you're like, this is so cringe. It's so embarrassing. Why am I trying? I have no idea what I'm doing. I got lucky the first time. I should not keep doing this. But then you get another hit, and you do it again. Yeah. And then at some point that tapered off, and then Good Children started popping off, and then it happened to you.
Yeah, and then Joe, it really happened to me in a way. I was just having this conversation with somebody, and just to give you guys like a background look into, I guess, conversations that we're having now, even with management, even with like where we're seeing our careers go. I literally never thought that I was gonna be on the internet, right? Even at the beginning, you were pressing post. Like I wasn't even pressing post. Yeah. So like as things were growing and as we were starting to get validated and like people were seeing us on the internet or stopping us or saying something, I still wasn't necessarily like experiencing it the way that you experienced it for a while before that. And like I do think that like it kind of fucked me up.
No, I know.
Because I'm like I went from like working a corporate job to working in fitness to being like, okay, I'm going to do this podcast, and whoa, now I need to be a creator on the internet.
And even just the feeling, the validation.
Oh yeah,
the numbers.
Then I obviously was checking the videos and everything like that. I was not. You suffered at the beginning because you were really running it and looking at the comments, and that was a
completely separate thing, though. Yeah,
completely separate. But like my struggle has always been like being perceived, and that's why I never was on the internet, and that's why it felt so easy at the beginning, because like I was not pressing posts, so like people were now perceiving me when I didn't even know who I was.
Right.
And like that's kind of crazy. That's the crazy thing about the internet.
Yeah. And I was telling Hunter all of this, and I was like explaining that jump from like YouTube to TikTok to Good Children, and then like how I felt that feeling, and then you felt that feeling, and he was like, not to be dark, but you're Andrew's dealer, like you're his supplier for an addiction. Like I said, I have this problem, and then I literally said, do you want some?
Yeah.
And now you have the problem.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
that
God, that's like crazy.
It's kind of a bone-chilling thought. Because it is that. I had a problem, and then I shared the problem with you, and now you have the problem. And both of us don't... There's, like, obviously, rewards and all that, it's amazing. But there is that addiction quality that you did not have.
No.
And I gave you the high of watching those numbers go up, and now you're chasing the fucking high.
And it was like... And I think Good Children has been... Obviously, it was so helpful for, like, me... figuring out who I was, especially when it came to the internet.
We're very lucky that what we hinged on was self-growth.
Yeah.
From day one. We're so lucky that is so the lucky bit. Like, thank God.
But I also think, like, to your point, like, you were my dealer. And then I got it. I got hooked. But then now, it was like, I mean, we still do this together, obviously. But now, as I'm, like, trying to define my brand or feeling comfortable just posting the internet, like it still doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? It's like I'm doing the drugs, but to your point, you get that one hit and you're like, oh my God, it's worth it. But then what I've recognized is like, it really is just posting a video to the internet of whatever you think is right.
Right.
It doesn't need to be as edited as whatever, and that's where I've been so hard on myself when it comes to the internet. But yeah, it's a really interesting journey.
Yeah, it's just become a monster.
Yeah.
And it's hard to even possibly grasp what it is doing to our brains collectively.
And it's also like, to your point from before, when I would hang out with you and you would only be on your phone, like it has taken us out of moments.
Oh yeah,
all the time. Like again, I'll be in an elevator and I'm on my phone, right? Like I'll be in a car and I'm on my phone. I'll be to avoid interaction with other people. I'll be, you know, at the bar and I'll be on my phone on the internet, like scrolling or swiping or doing whatever, and it just makes you not present. And like, why would you want to be surrounded by people that are only ever on their phone? And then when it becomes your career, and then I also see people that I know that like they are always on their phone. Yeah. Any experience that or event or anything that you go to, it's like you lose sight of what's in front of you because you feel like you have to let everybody know that you're doing this thing.
Yeah, we're bad influencers in that way.
We're bad.
I don't ever really think when I'm at something, except if it's like a Broadway show, it's like picture the sign in the playbill, but like people are documenting their entire experience the whole time.
But like, to me, I'm like, oh, I got my one post and I posted it to my story. Like, that's how I feel like it should be, because again, you want to be able to experience those things. I'm trying to be better with that. Like, I did the little Pilates class that was at a little event, and I was like, okay, I get it. People do this. This is easy. It's fun, whatever. But when it feels inauthentic, or you're like posting 15 times, your phone is always out, it just, mentally it's not good for you.
It is. And also, like, when I was experiencing the turbulence on my flight home from LA this time, I'm reading because I remembered how to read. So I was reading my book, but anytime the plane shook, I went and picked up my phone. Anytime. And it was such a physical response. Like, I was able to clock, like, I'm getting nervous because the plane is really shaking. I need my hit. I need my phone. And I would put the book down and pick up my phone and just open up Instagram and then close it and put it back. And it was such a clear thing to me where I was like, this is like smoking a fucking cigarette. This is like hitting a vape. It's like, I have anxiety. I need to quell my anxiety. Let me get a hit of this. Meanwhile, I'm going to open up Instagram to relax. And then I click on an Instagram story and it's like, here's every single way that Trump is killing trans people. Like, here's, it's like, it just only makes it worse. But the reflex is like, this thing will make me relaxed. And that was such a clear example of it, where I was like, anytime I feel nervous or anxious, I need to pick up my cell phone.
Yeah.
And having all the blockers is amazing because I kind of can't do anything with it, but it's still like just looking at that screen is somehow soothing. It's self-soothing with a phone.
Yeah. It is self-soothing in a way. It might be self-soothing to you. I'll tell you one thing.
Well, it's not soothing to me. Actually, I think it's going to be soothing, and then it actually hurts me more. But no, I know that it causes you stress.
It causes me stress, and lately it's not been that way because I'm learning to be like, literally, fuck it, it doesn't matter. And I do believe what the internet has done for me and is doing for me is allowing me to find who I am. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes a little bit of validation from others to be like, okay, like what I'm doing is right, or like my take was funny, or I can just be like silly and goofy on the internet and not feel like it has to be repeated 100 times for it to sound okay.
Right.
But I don't scroll, and the reason I don't scroll is not because I don't want to see what people are like, what's going on. It's like I just genuinely can't see other people doing it and me not doing it, or me feeling like it's a pit in my stomach that I have to be doing this at this point.
Well, this is also what Hunter was kind of saying to me, and it goes back to the dealer thing, is like, you never intended on doing this. No. This was never fucking part of your plan. I was groomed into doing it. Like, it was what I always knew I was going to be doing this thing. It was an accident, basically, for you,
Joe.
It was never supposed to happen.
It was never supposed to happen.
You never would have pressed post on your own.
No.
You never had any desire to.
No, but that also, it's like, I was actually speaking about this with Nell. I was like, I owe, like, not that I owe you a lot. I do, because I would have never put myself out there on the internet ever. I was like so happy being in a post in like the Abigail when you got us all in those outfits. I was like, this is so much fun. You are like, thankfully, somebody who saw in me like a star potential. And I think that is what was my catalyst to be like, okay, like, you know what? I can do this, and he is right, and it is working, and this is amazing. But then now when I'm having conversations with our manager, I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I feel like I fell into this. And it is like, I don't want my, like, the vision of what I want for myself to be blurred by the fact that, like, I'm now like popping puss to get a follower on the internet.
Right.
Like, this was never...
It was never part of the plan.
And it never felt organic. So I'm like, that's why I'm hard on myself when I'm like slower to grow socially. I'm like, this is so... It's tough for me.
It was never part of the plan.
It was never part of the plan.
Again, I gave you a curse. I cursed you with something in a very serious way.
Because it's so interesting. It's like, just when you think being a podcaster could be enough.
Just when you think.
Just when you think, right? But like, to my point too, like when I started the podcast, I literally thought like it was podcasting. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, like people are... I would look at like a Laura or people who like didn't really have that many followers, but they were podcasters and they're writers and they do other things to fund their income. But I was like, okay, if this could work, I'm like just a podcaster. But I didn't know that the podcaster would open the door to be like, I need to be the top grossing, top performing influencer on the internet, because we reverse engineered what it took to be a podcaster. And I think a lot of people that you see who have podcasts are influencers already. So in my head, they already cracked the code on how to be on the internet.
Right.
So now they want a podcast. And sometimes it doesn't work, because like you might do a little bit on the internet and someone might not want to listen to you speak for an hour. But we had it was a luxury that people wanted to listen to us speak for a really long time. And now I'm like, how do I encapsulate that in a 15-second clip on the internet? To feel like I'm validated in my career.
Of course. And every time those clips don't hit, you're like, I should probably kill myself. Let me kill myself.
No, like literally let me kill myself. Like
it's always that feeling. Like, and it's so crazy.
And yeah, it's really so crazy.
It's so nuts.
It's such a weird world, huh? It's really such a weird world. It's such a weird industry. Girls, I went to school for finance. You know what I mean? And we've talked about that before, but like it really is so... It's so crazy.
And it's so crazy that like this is my point is like the fact that that's a problem, the fact that like it's a real problem that we have is insane.
Oh yeah.
Like there is war, there is famine,
I know.
there is plague, there is poverty, there is crime, there is all of these horrible there like is incessant hell on earth. And on top of that, we're upset because we're podcasters and we have to post to the internet. Like that's scary. That's really scary that's a problem. Like it's a fictional made up problem that did not exist 20 years. It didn't exist 10 years ago.
No.
Like that's what I think is so jarring about the internet is there has now been like just another distraction, another thing to go to therapy about. Like and it's like this it's not actually that serious. It's actually fictionalized. Like it is a virtual reality that we're living in. And it's like I mean like it's so easy to say who gives a fuck. It's so easy to say that, but it's also like me.
Exactly.
Like I give the fuck.
But it's also like it is, I mean, I do love doing this. Like I love meeting the people that listen. I really do love that. And then it comes obviously to the other pressures of the internet. And then you feel crazy. Like I don't really want to talk about it often to my friends that don't or not on the internet. Because
even like, this conversation, I'm like,
I know
people are at their desks saying, girl, fuck you. Like
I work a real job and I get that. And that's why it feels really hard to have that conversation and be candid about it, because it should feel like a who the fuck cares.
Yeah.
But when you are in charge of, you know, because in a way, like, I do see us, maybe that's my business mindset, but like it is like entrepreneurial in a way when you start up a podcast, because it's a business and you have to continue to see it grow. And the easiest way to do that is to lean into a social strategy. And then when you build that business for yourself and you are your own boss, like, and you're so used to that corporate mindset, but you don't have anybody telling you what to do, like it is sink or swim. Like it's a sink or swim.
That's freelance in general.
Yeah, that's freelance in general.
Yeah.
And that's why when you went freelance, I was like, oh God, oh no, like I'm gonna be fronting cash. But like there are so many ways to like you did really well freelance.
I made so much money freelance.
You like it was crazy.
I took a huge financial hit starting the podcast.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I know.
There's the other side of it, like for us, I was also saying this to Hunter, like I think it's crazy, like you and I grew up in some ways, in many ways, in comparison to each other, like from the outside world.
Yeah.
And now what we have done is put that on a global stage.
No, Joe, it's so
and
sick.
But beyond just that, like beyond being compared, it's also numerically. Like we can actually look at statistics and comments, and we can say, this is how I measure up to this person I've been measuring myself up to since I was 4 years old.
No, Joe, it's like not funny.
Like it's so crazy. And it like confirms worst fears. It confirms insecurities. It just is this like echo chamber of like true inner thoughts where you're like, oh, everyone actually feels the same way I feel about myself.
And like, and I'm not playing the woe is me, but like it is hard, because it's like you see, and it shouldn't be like, it feels so stupid to say these things because it's like so like meaningless, but I'm like, okay, the podcast has more followers than I do. You are growing so exponentially. I feel so stagnant, and I'm like, how? And I know it's not the case, but when you see those things, how can you not feel like you're the flop?
No, of course.
You know what I mean? So it's like I am like the big flop, and like it feels like that.
Yeah.
But I know that's not the truth. But it's like when you are on the internet and you are focusing on growing, and then you want to see you want to see your project and the podcast like continue to grow, and you want to feel like you have a part in that. It's hard to feel like you have a part in that when you're like not pushing the needle.
Right.
You know,
but I do think that is to the point that we had earlier. Again, this isn't second nature to you. You are learning something. And at the same time, I think the reason I feel so driven to like figured out and post and get those numbers and grow is because in the podcast world, I feel you so much far superior to me, and that insecurity drives me that way.
Yeah.
So I think that we literally are just in a toxic cycle of that, where it's like, because it's so crazy. Like, it's so therapy material. It is not it's like we should not be having these conversations on the podcast ever. But it's just
but I think that's what like is nice about the podcast, is that like we can have this therapy conversation.
And I guess we actually really wouldn't have it otherwise.
No, and we probably would have never said this.
No, I know.
You know? So.
But it is that it's the girl so confusing, because then it's the silence of it, and it's like just existing and then quietly thinking these things and feeling that competition. And it's like, in reality, what competition is there?
It really is so sad. Like, and
what comparison is there?
No, it is so crazy, because I never want to feel like I'm in competition with you. I obviously like love seeing you grow, and I love seeing you get opportunities and things like that. And I know that we both have completely different careers ahead of us. I mean, there will be like areas that we want to like overlap.
We're on Mike White's.
When we're on Mike White's White Lotus, exactly. But like, yeah, it's tough. I do think lately the internet has brought me in it's not even like a depression, but it was definitely like, it's so much easier to not post. But then you're like, I'm the one holding myself back. And I think that is what I've recently discovered. And that's why I am really trying to post every single day, even if it's like the stupidest shit you've ever seen. Like, throw shit to a fan, sometimes it'll stick.
Yes.
And you know what? If I'm posting every day and I'm not getting 500,000 followers, that is really, really okay to me.
Yeah.
There are so many other avenues that I can explore within this industry. But yeah, it's been definitely tough lately, for sure.
And it is that feeling, like, again, you internalize all these feelings. You don't discuss it. We don't discuss it with each other.
Ever.
And I think that you and I, it's not like we're having the conversation we had a few months ago where it was like we had actual tension. Like, I think actually things have been fine, amazing,
so fine.
great. But it's almost worse that it's completely internalized.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is like part of the problem, because it is that it's like we aren't in competition. No, like, one person's success does not mean the other person's failure at all. But we are so trained to think like that. And again, the numbers, it shows, like, you see it. Even like the PR you get, like, like you're getting so much more PR reach out and invites and shit. And I'm like, okay, like, that actually, like, to me, I feel the insecurity in that direction.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, which is, it's crazy.
Yeah, there will always be.
The grass will always be greener. It'll always be greener.
And then I post a video and I'm like, okay. Okay, I got 300 likes.
But it's like, you're beloved.
Removed from grid.
But you're still beloved. Like, it's like there's a juxtaposition to it.
But then it's like, it's not even comparing to you only. It's
yeah,
like,
well, of
and
course.
then it's like comparing to others I see within the same realm as me, or like I'm friends with all of these people and I'm like, oh my God, that's so crazy. You have 2 million followers and I have like 20,000 on TikTok.
No one gives a fuck.
No one gives a fuck. But then I'm like, you're not worried right now. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm necessarily worried, but like, there are so many things that I'm like, okay, like, what if and we make money from the podcast, do not get me wrong, but there are still so many like normal and like, you know, thoughts that I have that I'm like, okay, if I had 2 million followers, yeah, I would be making $1 million a year,
right.
Or I would be making like $100,000 on a post or whatever.
Right.
Like, people are doing that I'm surrounding myself with,
which is so crazy.
And I'm like, you have it, but I know that I can do this as well. And this goes for literally anybody. I think that it's like the internet is so, yeah, it is luck driven, and it's like, keep posting to the internet and see if you grow and stuff like that. I think that where I'm taking it instead is like, it is actively allowing me to be myself on the internet and for people to see me for who I am, whether that is like posting the baking content or posting like a little thing that comes to my head that's not like over and over and over me recording the same thing. So I feel like I have to post to the internet. So it feels like just like second nature. I'm getting there and it will work eventually. But yeah, it's such an interesting industry. It really, really is. And it's tough to not compare yourself to others, especially when you're in a duo.
It is. I know the duo thing is crazy.
That's why, like, and I know we talk about them before, but like, I am so interested. I really am interested to talk to a Matt and Bowen because I'm like, do they talk about that?
Right.
Because like, I know their careers have went differently, but like, even socially in that game, it's like Bowen has a lot of followers, and Matt has a good amount of followers too. But it's just like different dynamic there, and I know from personal experience, you will feel something.
It's hard not to. It's really hard not to. Yeah.
But when you're not having those conversations, I'm happy that we're having the conversation.
So
when you're not having the conversation, it like you build a resentment, not for a reason that you like actually want to see that person fail, but you're building a resentment because it's like you are, it's just kind of, it is jealousy.
Yeah.
And it's like, when is it my turn?
Right. And also, again, I think that you and I, since we were kids, have had that. But exclude the platforms and everything. Yeah. Since we were kids, that jealousy has existed. Like, because at that point, it was like we had to share a piece of the pie. Yeah. And it was like not like two fat, closeted gay kids at the same school. Like, we were in competition. Like, it was like survival of the fittest in some ways. It was like, how can we get through this experience? Yeah. How can we not like how can we end up on top, like, and just socially survive these situations? Like, now that's changed, but also we were founded on that as children, so it's really hard to be like, oh, you know what, Andrew's success is my success is Andrew's success, and like, that's actually end of situation. And I think once we figure that out, it'll feel a lot more comfortable. Like, I think again, conversations are amazing. It's a really interesting I know, and then dynamic. The comparisons never stop, and then you're in meetings with people and you're like, okay, well, Joe is here and then you're here, so it's like, maybe we can get you here by the end of the year, but Joe will be there, so it's like, it's gonna be different. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it is always like this or that, and you are here and that person is there, and you feel like, how could you not feel like you're climbing to something, like you're like trying to stay afloat? It's so crazy. But yeah, to your point, it is like something that, especially when you're friends with somebody for so long, it's like you're the two fat kids that are trying to be picked for the kickball team. Yeah, exactly that. It's so like, how do I make sure
you're
I
the
get
last
picked first?
pick? It's between the two of us. Yeah, it's exactly, how do I make sure that I get picked first? But like, and it's not even no shade to the other kid. It's like, I just need to survive. I can't be the last. Exactly. And like, the person who is picked last, it's like, instead of being like, oh fuck, like, I'm, they don't like me, or I'm worthless, or like, I can't do this, whatever. It's like, okay, it's just like, he got picked over me, and that's literally okay. We're still playing the same game. Right. It's crazy. What an episode, huh? What an episode. This was more like us talking about what's going on in the internet. But I'm happy we did, because I was thinking for a while too, I do want to talk about how it's been affecting us. Yeah. Because I don't think we really give a lot of that look into I mean, that's why I'm doing the fucking character shit. Yeah. Because like, I love doing the podcast. I love our listeners, but like, I can no longer open myself up to the literal comparisons to you. Like, I actually can't do it, because it does make me resent you. Like, that's why I think part of the success of our past few months is I actually was like, I have to quit posting. I have to quit being on these accounts, because I cannot let an outside voice come into this actual dynamic that we've had for 25 years. Like, it is too, like, it's too precious to be shaken by strangers, even if those strangers are well-intended, loving, great people. Yeah. It's just a very delicate thing. It's really delicate. Yeah. And I feel like on my end, no, it's not even, and you taking a step back, because listen, you were running the socials at the beginning, and I also realized that like, it was me like getting this attention for being myself, but not actually like putting in work to like post it. I think that was like for a reason. Obviously, I was like celibate for 9 months once we started posting, and I can look back onto that because I'm like, I actually for the first time was
being seen,
and that was like a whole different journey for me because I also like just came out like not even 2 years before we started the podcast, which is really crazy. And now I'm like a publicly gay figure out of nowhere. Like even if it's not like to 10 million people, it's like still
even to one person is too much.
To one person, and like somebody is looking up to me, or somebody is feeling like I hold weight in their day where I can like help heal, be a part of their healing process. Like it is a crazy thing to take on as somebody who is still actively working on themselves, and doesn't feel like they have it figured out. But yeah, once you started hitting the stride and like taking the step back from Good Children, I could recognize, obviously it was my time to put in a little bit of work, but it also was like, oh, he doesn't want to be here anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know that's not the case. Obviously that was me being like, okay, I need to keep this running because like this is actually make or break for me.
Well,
this is what I felt like.
If you didn't post it, actually it wouldn't go live.
Exactly.
Which is crazy.
But that was also a wake up call for me with my own personal socials to be like, I am 28 years old. Like I can no longer solely rely on you to feel like my career is in your hands. And like, if that means me posting to Good Children and like continuing for it to grow, I'm obviously going to be doing that, simultaneously allowing myself to post for myself too. But yeah, that's when you were like, I don't even give a shit. It was like those were those things. Even if you were kidding, it doesn't even matter. It was more like, oh fuck, like maybe I do need to apply to a corporate job.
That's the dealer quitting
exactly.
selling. Yeah, no,
you were quitting the selling, and I was like, oh shit, but like, where am I gonna get the drugs?
Right. Yeah.
Where am I gonna get that hit?
Yeah.
Like, so that, yeah, it's so interesting. Wow. Whoa. Drugs are crazy, man.
It is definitely, I mean, there are scientific studies that prove it has addictive qualities, and I think that a lot of side effects of addiction are present in people's internet addictions. So it's really, people go to treatment.
Yeah.
I know people who are in treatment for their cell phones. Like, that's crazy that we're at that point. And I don't think it's crazy that they're in treatment. That's actually the craziest part. I'm like, right, me soon. I'll be there.
I know.
I feel like I'm actually in outpatient treatment for my phone right now. I've been doing it for a little bit now.
But at least you're like, you're recognizing that now. And I think that you do really a good job of the separation. You do the posting and like you're still growing, and you're like not allowing those voices or the people commenting or anything. Like, yeah, you'll still read the comments, but like, and you're not getting negative comments anymore, but it's good separation to have. You realize that you're actually living a life that's not virtual, while it is so parasocial. I think that like, I give a lot of credit to the people that are on the internet. Like, and I don't think a lot of the times we give a lot of people a lot of grace. We are really hard on people.
Oh yeah.
The comment section, sometimes I look at them and I'm like, this is so insane. Like, you don't recognize what their day might even look like. And people are like, oh, you're on the internet. What do you do in a day?
Right.
And I'm like, sometimes like I don't get home until 11 p.m. You know what I mean? Like people are working around the clock on the internet. It's not the same as a corporate job. It never will be. But that doesn't like mean it shouldn't be validated in real work.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of pressures. There's a lot of undue pressures and strange anxieties and, you know, again, insecurities brought to light that I think that are like should be definitely clocked by professionals in professional settings like soon. And like, I don't think it's going to happen in the government because tech is part of the oligarchy. So we're probably only going to see it get worse. So something to check in with yourself about for sure. And really be mindful of how much attention you're paying your phone, and how, like, because that's really what it comes down to. Like, even if you're suffering on the internet, it's the internet. Like, and it's so hard to recognize that difference, but do things that are not the internet so that you can literally touch grass, like something that is just not online, because at least you can unplug and be like, this is the real world. This is a book. This is how I read books. I can read sentences again.
Like, that's so crazy. Like, I'm so jealous of that, actually.
I was at that museum. I was reading every little plaque so fast. I was like, I actually haven't read a plaque in a museum in years.
No,
maybe ever.
I go to a museum, I look at that plaque, and I'm like, you got
I like read the first word. I'm like, okay, good.
I'm like, okay, 1738. That's cool.
I
That's
learned
from
so
1738.
So much.
Yeah, no, I see. I'm not.
Still life paintings were really popularized by women because they weren't allowed to draw with models. So they were practicing on objects at home, and that's how that genre kind of came to be what it is. Learned that from a wall in the Met. Wouldn't have never known that.
It's like I would have never known that. I would have never known that.
And like learning, I mean, like it's so pathetic. Like having that one fact is actually to me like it's amazing that I left today and learned something versus like left the day and like watched 8 more TikToks. Like just really there's a reason that like books have lasted hundreds of thousands of years and some thousands of years, I guess is the proper term there. And like phones are 20 years old. There's a reason why like studying and learning is constant, and we just like the tech thing is brand new. And, like, really find the difference.
Yeah, it's gonna get crazy. Like in the next coming years, it's gonna get really wild. But I'm ready for the journey, and I'm buckling up.
And you guys can like probably chat with our AI consciousnesses soon, so at least you have that.
Yeah, and like whatever my AI conscience says, like I hope it's right, and like I hope you're not worried, because you shouldn't be. I'm so good.
Okay.
So follow me.
Do you have a Roomba? I'll tell you what my Roomba isn't.
Should we do this?
I have a Ruda this week, right down my alley.
What is it?
A Ridma.
Ridma.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. What the fuck? What the fuck? I just can't imagine. I can't believe that's the book. I'm just in such disbelief. No shade to her. Full respect to Mary Shelley. Like
Mary
queen
Shelley.
for that. Like actually iconic. I just didn't know that book was so boring. I didn't know that book was so it's just I'm trying to get through it so I can read evenings and weekends next, and it is a challenge to read such a boring, dull book. But I'll tell you one thing: Frankenstein was talking a lot. Frankenstein's monster was talking pretty incessantly. He wouldn't shut up in that book.
You know what? And I think we've talked about this before. It took me until this recently to realize that Frankenstein wasn't the monster.
That's okay. That's a pretty normal misconception.
But like, why are we not calling, like, when people are dressing up like, oh, I'm gonna be Frankenstein?
Yeah,
for
Frankenstein's the doctor. But that monster, I'm pretty sure in that movie he's just groaning and moaning.
Yeah, he was talking.
Let me tell you, he is monologuing about the French countryside in a way that pissed me off.
Because you would say the same thing.
Yeah, it was very me, very me. I really related to Frankenstein. And I think Jacob Elordi will be playing him soon. So I think we're all going to want to relate to Frankenstein in some ways pretty soon.
What do you mean
in different relations? Yeah. Well, you know, I would fuck Frankenstein like any iteration.
The monster.
Yeah, like sorry, yes. And Jacob Elordi is playing the monster. Not the doctor. Excuse me. Yeah, but I would fuck any version of Frankenstein's monster that presented himself to me.
But like, even if it didn't present itself to you, like, what if you presented yourself to the Frankenstein's monster?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I'm saying as long as Frankenstein's monster was in a room that I was in, and there was like a bed of sorts or something, okay. I'd be so into it. He's 8 foot tall and disgusting. Like the book describes him as being so grotesque and scary that like everyone who sees him is like horrified and runs away and like freaks out. That's my man. That's my man.
That's my man.
That's my man. I'm your man.
8 feet tall.
Mm-hmm. Jacob Elordi.
I don't want you to say that name.
Jacob Elordi. Hi, it's my Jacob Elordi.
Jacob.
He's Australian. It's so bad for you.
It's so bad for me. It's like, I'm not kidding. I'm only swiping for people who are Australian at this point.
Anyway, what's your Roomba?
Listen, my Roomba this week, right up my alley. I've been really obsessed lately with creamed honey. Does anyone know what they're doing there? This honey has been sustaining me.
From Moodus?
From Moodus, Connecticut. I got the cinnamon infused creamed honey.
They're just like really creaming it.
Oh my God. It's so creamy. Like I put it with a little bit of peanut butter and it's just like, it's different than honey because you have to spread it. You're not like drizzling it out. I don't know what they're doing to cream it. Is it cream?
Oh.
Is it like cream?
I was thinking they were just really creaming the honey. Like they were like really like just like going at it.
I don't know. Like I haven't really looked up creamed honey ever in my life. And I don't know if people are like churning honey.
You know what I mean?
But like it's right up my alley. And then listen, if you have the opportunity to get some creamed honey,
from Moodus,
do yourself the favor. For Moodus, I wish I knew that little store.
That
like it was so cute. Yeah. God, I want to get back to Connecticut. Like you
postcard cabins, if you're listening, we'll go back to Moodus tomorrow.
And like Connecticut girls, like you don't know how good you got it. Like it's nice there. Like we need, like if you guys need something to look forward, like to live for, it's like you're in Connecticut. Holy shit.
Well, thank you so much for watching this week's episode.
Thank you guys. This one felt special in a way because it definitely was like stuff that we needed to get off our chest. But like sometimes I do believe that you guys like to listen to these because it's an inside conversation.
Sorry, I just actually spoke over you.
No, please.
No, that was the longest I ever spoke over you. Please continue.
No. That's literally all I had to say.
I didn't even hear what you said because I was so busy talking over you.
That's like, I'm not even kidding. I could care less. I really don't even give a fuck.
I was just gonna say. I think I'm gonna start pretending to set up the cameras and just say, should we record an episode? And then we just sit there with the mics and then we're laying it all out and we have no idea that it's not for the podcast.
No, but I think that's why it worked at the beginning too. Like we were doing bits for sure, but like I really do think when people feel like they are in the room with us and we're not in the room with cameras on, like that's what makes it work. So even if we did sit down and the camera's on and I'm like, I'm not good. And it's because of you. And it's a full deep dive. No. This one felt good. It felt like not funny, but like it's fine. The podcast is not even funny.
It's
anymore.
Winter. Like, it's winter. Like it's actually like crazy if you think we're gonna be funny. Like it's actually like it's an unfair expectation on us to be funny.
Yeah. And I want everyone to know something. I am extremely grateful. Like I am so grateful for the podcast, that I can work with my friend, that I can be on the internet, that I can have all of these things. So I do not want this conversation to feel like we are complaining about what we put ourselves into, because it's like, that's not the case. It is like, I just want to normalize that it could look like rainbows on the internet for a lot of people. People are getting followers. People are at these events. They're doing all that stuff. But girl, pull the curtain back. Oof. That's all I'll say.
I like miss talking about like dick and cock and balls. Like
maybe next week.
Dick and cock and balls, please. It's up to you. You're the one. You're the conservative.
I'm the conservative.
It's, like, hard to get
I'm the conservative.
You are like it's really hard to get past like the censorship.
Thank God we like were able to say that, because like I'm the conservative, and when it's just I keep saying it.
Yeah,
so
like
someone can clip it
so many times, and I'm like, okay.
Someone could clip it, and like it's all over the internet. I hope. No, I'm kidding. It's all over the internet.
I just want to talk about dick, cock, balls, hole.
I'd be willing to post
nipples, dick, cock, and balls,
and my hole. I'm so close.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm like it's almost getting closer. I'm like, why not add it to the link?
For me, it's like you can find me any day at Wee Spa. If you want to see my dick that bad, I mean, I'd be upset because I'd wanted to show it to them hard, but
I get that.
It's okay either way.
No, I just like maybe I'll do like a boudoir photo shoot.
And let me know.
I will let you know. I think that we actually should be doing a boudoir.
Oh my God.
I think that would be really healing.
The two of us, and that's our calendar.
Yeah. That comes out
in the calendar start in May?
Yeah.
Like it goes until the following May.
Like, can we make the good children year? Like, it's like, you know, like how like it could be
September.
Like we can start it in September
or in June. Happy Pride.
From Pride to Pride.
From Pride to Pride. Rising Prides.
We start and end at Pride.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea. And listen, Pride's coming up.
Brands. Pride's coming up. It's February.
Brands. News outlets. Let's fucking chat.
The GLAAD
Don't
Corporation.
get me started on the GLAAD Corporation. Don't get me started, please, because it's not going to look good.
Thank you guys
Thank
so
you guys.
much for watching. Don't forget to do your homework.
Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review. If you loved this episode, give it 5 stars. If you want to write a little something about it, if it made you feel some sort of way, write it. We love to hear from you. We genuinely do. And you know where to find us. We're across all social media platforms at Good Children Pod. I'm on Instagram at Andrew Muscarella and on TikTok at Andrew_Muskie.
I'm on Instagram at Joe Hegyes and on TikTok at Be Quiet Joe.
And this was not a cry for help. If you don't follow me, it's literally okay. Like, I am gonna be really okay and fine. Social media is a crazy place. And you know what to do as well. We have a Patreon and it's $7 a month.
Access to 200 plus bonus episodes, plus a brand new bonus episode every single Thursday night at 8 p.m. EST, and access to our chats. We have 4 of them. There's Chitting and Chatting, there's post-episode discussion, there is Pet Board, and then there is Friend Board, where Pet Picks and Friend Board, where you can make your friends, like the Seattle Patreon group that
Seattle
meets up
girls.
every once in a while. Those 4 divas.
I'm obsessed with them.
Love them to death.
And yeah,
otherwise, we'll see you next week.
we'll see you next week.
Step up the tour bus. Nobody knows us. Get in the car like Scoop. Order me bread. And we go in. Me with no makeup. You in the bathtub. Bubbles and bubbly. Ooh. This is for feels like we never act this regular. Click, click, click. And post.
Yes.
That's why I was trying to get to that.
We got to click and post.
Kiss me and take off your clothes. Imagine a world like that. Imagine a world like that. We go like up till I sleep on your chest. Love how my face feels so good in your neck. Oh, yeah. Imagine a world like that. Imagine a world like that. Well, that was, I would argue, worst ever
performance we've ever done ever in our lives, because I didn't know a single lyric and it's embarrassing, and also at the same exact time, it's not embarrassing.
You weren't supposed
I'm
to
gonna
be
go, you guys. I'm gonna just go for a second, and I'm not gonna come back until next week. Okay, I'll see you guys later.
It's not embarrassing.
I know. I'm gonna make cookies.
I'm gonna go get a tuxedo.